Hello, everyone, and we are live. Today, here with you is the part of the Scopy sessions team for the March meeting 19, which will happen in Slovenia, in the beautiful city of Protos. And we are here with you to give you some introduction to Scopy sessions and what will happen during the March meeting in Skopje and all around the General Assembly as well. And today, here with us, together with me, I have some beautiful people who will help me to explain about what you should expect. And we have Mohammed Khalid, who we call Jack, who is the Neo of Sudan. Hi, Jack.
Hello, guys.
Okay. We also have Georgas Atakis, who is the Neo of Greece. Hi, Georgas.
Hello, everybody.
We also have our beautiful regional assistant for the EMR, and this is Mohammed Abu Diab. Hi, Mohammed.
Hello, everyone.
We also have our amazing internal development assistant, who is Heber Oliva. Hi, Heber.
Hi guys, how are you?
And we also have our external development assistant, Giorgia Solder from Italy. Hi, Giorgia.
Hi everyone. Hi.
Okay, and now after you a little bit know all of us, let's move to the next slide, and I will just briefly tell you what you should expect from this webinar. So we will show you who is the Scopy Sessions team, how do we look like at this stage of preparations. Then we will talk about the general agenda a little bit and the new things that you will see in the general agenda of the March meeting. And we will elaborate a little bit more on the Scopy Sessions agenda and tell you which sessions you should take in mind and which sessions you should prepare for. Then we will also, in particular, talk a little bit about regional sessions, joint sessions, and small working groups, and sharing is caring. Then we will give you some advices on how to better prepare for the March meeting 2019. We will talk about the voting rights, about the important deadlines for the voting rights, what we should do before the March meeting, what should you read in the Scopy Survival Kit. Then a very important part, we will talk about the Skopje regulations voting procedures, and we will explain to you how we will vote. Then there will be the summary of Skopje regulation changes proposals and some tips for exchanges fair. And in the very end, we will give you advices on what you should remember to bring to the Skopje sessions. And now let's move to the next slide, and you will be able to see our amazing Skopje sessions team. So we are basically 15 people. Some of them, like two of those people, will unfortunately not be able to attend, and they're Gabi, the regional assistant for the Americas, and Kiran, the NEO of Pakistan. But they are still working hard all together with the others, and we'll be happy to welcome you in our Scopy sessions in March 2019. Now let's look at the agenda. So here you see the general agenda of the March meeting. You can also find this agenda in any survival kit of any sessions of the March meeting. It will also be shared at different sources of communication. And if you look into details, you will see that the general agenda looks a little bit differently from the other general assemblies, especially if it's not the first general assembly for you. There are some new things. For example, on day one, we will not have the standing committee sessions in the morning, but we will have regional sessions and theme event in the morning. And on day three, we will have a special offer from the organizing committee, from the amazing organizing committee, because they are preparing a walking tour for us. So they're giving a possibility for us to see the city in the daylight. And then there are some other new things that you should pay attention to. For example, IFMC Fringe. In the evening of day one, you maybe have heard about this new initiative that IFMSA is planning to implement. It's going to be a very, very spectacular event, and if you have not applied for being a participant of this session, let's say, we highly recommend you to attend this and enjoy, because it will be a really incredible show. Then what we would like to pay your attention to are the theme event. There will be two theme events. On the first part will happen on day one and the second on day two. I will just say a little bit more a little bit after. On day 2, you can also see the training sessions, which we highly recommend you to attend. During this time allocated for the training sessions, you will not only have the soft skills trainings, which we are used to see in this time slot, but we will also have a couple of exchanges related trainings during this time as well. So pay attention and don't miss it. On day 3, we will have the incredible and very important event for all the exchanges, which is the exchanges fair, and we will talk about it later. Day 4, you may notice that there is a session which is called IFMC Global Priority Side Events. I'm just pointing your attention here now, but I will explain in a couple of slides about this. And day 5, standing committee sessions in the morning, and in the afternoon you will have activities, fairs, and plenary in the end. So this is how the general agenda looks like. But now let's go into details, and let's move to the theme event. Just for your information, we will not stop on it a lot. We just want to mention to you that this year's March meeting theme event is going to be on gender and health. So this is the topic. And as I already mentioned, there are 2 time slots allocated for theme event. The first day will be the first part on day 1 will be together with externals, and it will be more educational. And the second part of the theme event on day 2 will be more interactive, and it will include a debate style session on the topic IFMSA values gender equity, current approaches to achieve gender sensitivity in represented animals, and IFMSA are appropriate and adequate. So this will be the topic on which animals will discuss and debate, and we will come to a general conclusion, hopefully. And the next slide and the next point that I want to mention to you is the IFMSA Global Priority Side Events. You maybe have already heard that it is very, that a lot of attention is brought to the global priorities nowadays in IFMSA. So after working a lot on different topics, we eventually have decided to unify our strengths and powers and to move towards the same directions within all the standing committees of the whole IFMSA. So basically, if you remember, there are 13 global priorities in IFMSA right now, which we're working on right now. And some of those topics were selected as the themes for the global priorities side events. So we will have 6 parallel sessions on the global priorities related topics. 5 of them are on topics not really that much related to exchanges, but they are still going to be very interactive, and we highly encourage you to choose the one which is more relevant for you, which you feel you're mostly interested in. But the one I wanted to point a lot of attention to from your side is the survive, the first one, the first session, which is going to be the UHC simulation. So the simulation on universal health coverage. It is a very exciting game. You will go through different stages and you will realize how different are the healthcare systems of people living in different spots of the world. And you will not only listen about this, but you will take an active part. Please take a look at the list of the global priorities when you will be reading the survival kit and pick the one which is the most interesting for you. And now I'm leaving the floor to Mohammed, who will explain to you the Scopy sessions agenda. Mohammed, you're welcome.
Hello, all. I hope that all of you are doing well. I'm gonna present to you Scopy session agenda in a brief. Georgia, can you go next? So in day 1, you will have breakfast, and please be on time for the regional sessions, because on the first day we will have the regional sessions of the Asia Pacific and the EMR, and it's gonna be at 9 a.m. till 10. And after that, you will have the theme event. After that, you'll have lunch, and you come back to Scopy sessions. So Scopy sessions, the first day, we're gonna start at 14 o'clock, and we will have 1 hour of introduction and team building. And the second session that we will have in 3 o'clock, that we will have 2 parallel sessions. You know that Scopy IT are really care about the participants of the GAs, and we all know that not all the participants are neos or officials in IFMSA, so we have also beginners. So we have two parallel sessions. The first one, which is the advanced sessions about Scopy IT updates, and the second one for the beginners, how to survive in Scopy. Scopy IT updates. Scopy IT will represent the updates, what they do in the previous month, and showing you how the achievements that they did. And the second session, which is the parallel session, of the beginners, we will have a great cover on many important topics. It's possible, like the news folders, communication guidelines, and how to find all these manuals. And we'll give you a small brief about database and how to be and how to be understandable and productive in Scopy. After that, we will have a small session, which is 30 minutes, about small working groups input. In this session, our aim is to we prepare a PowerPoint with brief explanation of the list of the small working groups, and we will take your inputs and represent the small working groups. After that, we will have a decent time for sharing is caring, guys, which is 1.5 hours, starting from 16:30 until 18. This we give you a huge opportunity, decent time to discuss different topics, and we will have 4 rounds of 18 minutes each. And the sharing is caring. We will have the fundraising and exchanges, support from your NMO, fair outgoing selection and recognition and accreditation, and a lot of interesting topics that we all know that you are interested in. And after that, we'll move to the second day. We will have the small working groups. We will have 1.5 hours starting from 9 o'clock. And please, guys, it's really a huge subject and really important subject to small working groups. And like, really, guys, be on time because we really need your input for small working groups that we will represent it on the first day. Moving for the next hour, which is the scope is core regulation changes discussion. We will have two parallel sessions also. The scope and score regulations changes discussion. It's gonna be for joint with the Scori. It's gonna be for 1 hour, and after that we will have a separate session for Scopy, which is 1 hour, in parallel with 2 hour sessions for how to improve in your exchanges for the beginners. After that, we will have half an hour for Neo's buddy and question and answers time, and we already send an emails about the Neo buddies and how you can join and what's the benefit to be in the Neo's buddy. After that, we will have lunch, and at the end of the day, we have 2 hours of sessions for the training people graduated from the TNET. Moving for the third day, you will have in the morning, you will have a social program. After that, we will have a joint sessions, and my friend Heber will gonna talk about it in the next slide. And we will have lunch, and scope session will start after lunch at 14 o'clock. We will have starting which the bulk of the day, which is the exchange fair. We don't have anything except the exchange fair. You have 30 minutes to be preparing for your table, for your poster, and after that we will open the doors for the Scopy participant for 1.5 hour, and after that we will open it for 1 hour for the people and for the all GA participants. And we're gonna talk about RIT also. We will have some about RIT hosts. Next. Okay, on the fourth day, we'll start at 9 o'clock. We will start voting on scope score regulations that we discussed in the previous day. And after that, we'll have Scopy regulations alone voting. And in the parallel to that, we have 2 hours graduation sessions for the people who graduate from TNET training. And on 11 o'clock, we'll have Scopy Global Health Strategy Overview. It's going to be for half an hour. It's going to be half hour. After that, you have your NMO hour and lunch. And in the fourth day, you will have the regional sessions of Africa and Europe. and it's gonna be at 2 o'clock till 3 o'clock, which is the Africa and Europe, and after that you will have the Americas at 3 o'clock till 4 o'clock. Moving to the global priorities, which is Tanya mentioned in the previous slides, it's gonna be for 1.5 hour. Moving to the fifth day. Okay, scope sessions also will start at 9 o'clock. It really the bulk of the sessions in the fifth day will be in the morning. So we're gonna start with the database, scope IT involvement and NMO exchanges. Sorry, in debates, how to scope IT involvement in the NMO exchanges, and after that also we will have UHC and health system implementations. In the parallel to, we have two hours of graduation trainings for the teenage graduates. On 12 o'clock, we'll have NMO Exchange Glories that we also send emails and send every needed information on the NEOS group and regional groups. So all needed information was sent before. So some of NMOs that they would like to represent of the glories in the previous month. Just a second. Okay. Okay, and we will have opening call. We opening the call for the NMOs Exchange Glories, and we prepared also the campaign on. We will prepare the campaign on Instagram and everything like that, and even the every NMO has we give NMO a decent time to represent their glories in the previous months. Moving for after that, we will have half an hour for SWG presentations that we worked on it on the second day, and after that we have like 30 minutes for Scopy Banner hosts. As you know, every single GA we have some time for NMOs to try to get this Scopy Banner, and we have some funny competitions between the NMOs to collect the banner, and after that we will have half an hour to say the outcomes of this March meeting, and we have a closing and this copy photo, and it's gonna be some feelings in this session. So in this session we finish our copy sessions for the fifth day and the March meeting. Next. Okay, moving for the regional sessions. As you know, as you noticed that these regional sessions are really divided on the first day and the fourth day. We're starting with the Africas, Asia Pacific. It's gonna be on different location from scope sessions, so we need to have 5 minutes before the sessions to find the venue and move the participant from scope session venue to the regional session venue, and after that they have 10 minutes introduction and icebreaker. After that, they will have 25 minutes basic in exchanges. They will divide you on 4 teams, and it's gonna be somehow variable depending on the number of attendees. And after that, they will do a questions and answer question answer quiz. The basic of exchanges would be introduced to delegates, and it's gonna be a really interesting session. Moving to the next session, which is 20 minutes. No, go back. Problem and solving and sharing is caring. Okay, they will in this session they will collect some problems from the participants, from the Asia Pacific participants, and they will try to find solution for these problems, and who had this problem before, and he can share his achievement and how he got over this problem. Moving for the next session, in the first day will be the EMR session starting from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. The same thing. You have 5 minutes to move from Skopje venue you have 5 minutes to move from the venue till you reach the regional session venue. You will have 5 minutes of introduction, and after that you will have team building for 5 minutes. Gonna be like icebreaker and trying to introduce everyone to each other. After that, we're gonna talk about visa issues for 20 minutes, because EMR region, we all know that EMR region are facing a huge problem, which is the visa issues. So we're trying to represent some interesting statistics about the visa issues and how many visa issues that we faced last year. After that, we will have small working groups about visa issues, trying to find solution for the visa issues, and try to draw a plan for the next next 6 months for the regional team, to try to find solution for this problem. After that, we'll have 10 minutes for collecting feedbacks about this session. Moving for the third session, which is the Africa, on day 4, starting at 2 o'clock till 3 o'clock. You will have the same 5 minutes to move, and after that, starting with 5 minutes of introduction and icebreaker. Then you will have 5 minutes of overview of the situation in Africa and updates on the RA's work. Moving for After that, they'll have promotion and exchanges. We have the least exchanges among all the regions. They have the least exchanges among all the regions, and it's the best way to overcome this problem is to promote the region and try to make new contracts, and trying to find out how to make good promotional materials to promote Africa. Moving for the next session, you will have financials and exchanges, that many countries they face problems in fundraising their exchanges. So in this session, you will try to find some solution and best way to improve the quality of exchanges, and how to make good fundraising for your exchanges. And for 18 minutes exactly, you will have a sharing experiences. It's gonna be who you are, what you do in your new countries, and what's in the news, and how, if you face some problems, how you overcome these problems. Moving for the last 2 minutes, gonna be for Mama Africa picture. Next. On the fourth day, you will have, at the same time of the African regional sessions, you will have Europe, and it's gonna be about team building, and basically it's gonna be Scopy versus Scori competition. It's really interesting. And after that, you will have 30 minutes of global and regional priorities and exchanges. You will have introduction for topic and brainstorming, and try to develop activity on the topic. Next. Okay, moving for the last regional session, which is Americas, in the 4 days, gonna be at 3 p.m. till 4 p.m. You'll start with 5 minutes of team building. After that, you're gonna discuss the case study and how to solve specific situations, and try to make some to solve some interesting exchanges cases. And after that, you will have 30 minutes, which is exchange rehab. Okay, you will get to say what do you think are major problems, needs of the region, and you will discuss together, and you will discuss together how to solve it. Next. So
Right.
here, this conclude my part. Heber, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mohammed. We are going to move on with the next part, which is the joint sessions, which they're really important for all the standing committee, which is basically a collaboration. The first one is social accountability in exchanges, which is we are going to join SCOMI, the Standing Committee on Medical Education, and basically during this joint session, we are going to meet the concept of social accountability. We are going to discuss the importance of this topic regarding exchanges, how can we implement it, and how can we make our exchange program accountable in any level. We also are going to have, based on the team event, we are going to have how to prepare exchange student for gender diversity. We are going to join forces with Scora, Scori and Scopy. And in this session, we are going to start with a basic definition of SOGS, the definition, and something that is really important, which is inclusive language. Then we are going to discuss what is the concept of safe space, how can we make our exchanges into that. Finally, and our main outcome is going to be how to prepare exchange students about gender diversity in any level, in any country, and basically the interaction about gender in our exchanges. Next one, please. And the last two are human rights based conflict management in exchanges. We are going to be working with Scorp, and in this session we are going to be talking about the definition of the conflict and the phases, and basically the possible motives the human rights motivation. We are going to propose also strategies and how to manage this situation in which we can have attacks on human rights. And last one, but no less important, is our global health training. We are going to join forces with Scopy, Score, and SCOF, and we are going to continue with the global health training. As you might be aware, our global health team strategy it's universal health coverage and health system, and based on that, we are going to implement and continue with the importance of global health in each level. We are going to discuss also how to implement in our exchange program. So if you want to be aware or many of the steps that we have to follow in order to implement a global health team strategy and global health into the exchanges, you have to attend the last one. I thank you. That's all the part about the joint sessions.
Okay, so guys, now we're gonna shift to the small working groups. Um, so basically, we have a total of 11 small working groups. Starting by the first, which is the frequently asked questions file. We tend to receive a lot of questions and answers. Actually, questions of similar questions from students, Leos and Neos, and creating this file will be a great relief for all of us. Secondly, we have the post-exchange debrief. We have a pre-departure training and upon arrival training, which is really good. But in order to get further improvement in the academic quality, we need to introduce a post-exchange debrief, which basically include the whole concept is where outgoings from one LC gather with Leos to discuss how it was, what they saw, and what they learned. Thirdly, we have the global health education. We have an almost ready for public use of global health training. But what else can be done in order to improve global health education through exchanges? Next, we have the stakeholders manual. We have the task in the annual working plan to create a stakeholder manual, but we don't have a small working group on it. This is the best opportunity to brainstorm and draft the plan of the manual. LC activation guidelines will be the next. We tend to create recommendations on how to activate a new LC since we don't have strict Scopy regulations on this. New educational activities for exchange students, that would be the next small working group. In order to improve, we need to think of creating something new. NMOs are doing different things besides having this small working group in collaboration with other standing committees. Could possibly help to prioritize exchange students. Next, we have the database strategy and improvement. We need to gather as much input as possible on what should be improved and what should be changed and implemented on the database. Next, we have the public health exchanges. The first public health exchanges contract were signed. But what should we do next? what needs to be done for the exchange to live, and how to evaluate. Next, we have which policy documents may Skopje need. We only have one on ethical medical placement abroad. The question is, do we need others? If yes, then which topics do we need to cover in policy documents? Next, we have role of medical education in academic quality, the area of tight collaboration between Skopje and SCOMI, and we are aiming to improve the academic quality. Last but not least, we have the intersectional IFMSA. No place on earth is immune from the impact of societal norms and inequalities. Therefore, we always have we have to put in effort in order to identify the impact. And creating this small working group will actually really help in reaching that goal. Next. Now we're gonna start the sharing is caring part. We're gonna start by fundraising and exchanges. So basically, the concept of sharing is caring is basically exchanging the experiences and the information that we guys have, that different animals have. So we're gonna start by fundraising and exchanges. How to find sponsors for every aspect of Scopy exchange program, including outgoings, incomings, and national social programs. Secondly, we have support from the animal. Many animals do not understand the need of our standing committee enough, and we face that problem with that. And how can we deal with that? That will be the second one. And the third one is fair outgoing selection. What process do the animals follow in order to choose students who are most suitable and most qualified for the exchange program? And recognition and accreditation would be the fourth, I think. So basically, sharing of experiences on this vital topic would be really beneficial. And next, we have the pre-departure training / upon arrival training. What topic does the agenda include in each and every animal? And next, we have the national social program. How can we do it, or how can we manage to achieve that? Strategy on cancellation and unused AFs. What do NEOs and LEOs do in order to prevent cancellations and to reduce the number of unused AF? Mental health would be in the next. What do you do in your animal to keep your team and your own mental health in order? How do you find the balance? So basically, sharing your experiences. How do we present Scopy externally in our animal? So external presentation is really important in Scopy, and it's relatively a new topic. So therefore, I think we need to start sharing the experiences on how do we do it in the animals or LC levels. Scopy initiatives in my animal would be the next. For those animals taking part in Scopy initiatives and just going to take part in initiative, what is going good, what should be improved, etc. So that would be the conclusion for my part. And we're going to shift to advice for the sessions.
Thank you, Jack. Yes, just to sum up what was just said and explained by the boys, you can find all this information in the survival kit once again and to read through it for more information. However, to sum up, we want to give you some advices on how to benefit from the sessions the most. First of all, be on time, and we will not be tired to repeat it again and again because we are trying to give as much information and as much materials as possible to you. And the only case we will be able to do if you arrive on time and if we use were gifted by the others. Yes, so while creating the agenda, the time was allocated to our sessions, and we should use it on the maximum level. Secondly, be active, because if you're passively sitting and passively trying to listen, it's not very beneficial. Only through showing your activity, we can see that you're really reflecting on the sessions and that you're really understanding information, and we can improve mutually. Take notes. We advise you to take either the notebook or pieces of paper or I don't know, the whatever you feel more comfortable to write notes in. And there are always things that you can hear, something new, something shared by other animals that can seem very interesting to you, but unfortunately our memory is not ideal and you may forget it already by the end of the session. So taking notes is a good tool. Ask questions. Whatever you do not understand, ask about it. Ask your neighbors, ask the Scopy sessions team, ask the Scopy AT, ask me directly, whoever you feel comfortable to ask. But never left anything unclear for you, because it's better and easier to ask questions here and now than to search for some information in maybe not very reliable sources. No phones. We will insist on this as well. Try to focus on what is happening in the room, because you have just twice a year you will have this possibility. 6 days, 5 or 6 days of the year, of the half of the year, you will dedicate to Scopy and to General Assembly. So this time is priceless. Do not spend it useless for phones and messages. You can always talk to people live and interact and communicate. The more active you are, the more attention you will bring to you, and the more you benefit from this. Thank you very much. Next slide. We are now moving to the part of about preparations for the March meeting. And next slide, please. Thank you. The first and very, very, very important thing that you need to do is to gain your voting rights. If you're in NEO, you have already received a lot of emails, quite a lot of emails about updating on the voting rights of the animals, Scopy active animals. Just once again, we'll remind you that for this, for the March meeting, you don't need to do that many things for obtaining the voting rights. That's why we actually beg you to please do things on time and please do things correctly. The first stage was supposed to already be over. The new report was supposed to be filled in by the 1st of February, and tremendously thank you to those who have already done it and done it on time. And the second stage is reviewing and updating NEO's contact information stamp and signature in the database, which should be done after February the 1st, but before February the 15th. So since today is the 13th of February, you just have 2 days left to finish your updates in the database. It's really as simple as that. You just go to your NEO panel, to your contact information, check if everything is all right, upload there your signature and stamp, and press save. It's as simple as that. It won't take you more than 5 minutes, maybe even less if you have quite fast internet. Please do this. We are checking on you constantly, and we are constantly in touch to answer any questions. And just one last point. So far, we only have 31 animal with the voting rights out of 101. And since the deadline is in 2 days, I'm quite worried and nervous. Please don't make us investigate on you. Please do things on time. Should you have any questions, we're ready to answer. Thank you. The floor is Heber's. Heber?
Thank you, Tanya. We are going to continue with something that is really important that we have been working for a long time, which is the survival kit. The survival kit.
Oh,
next one, please.
Heber, sorry. Yes, we just forgot about one more slide. Let me just finish about this as well.
Okay.
Please forgive us. So to finish the part of the deadlines and what you should do before the March meeting. So already said about completing the voting rights before the 15th of February. But what you else should do is to prepare hard copies of invitation letters if they were requested by the NEOs. But actually, we would recommend to prepare the hard copies of invitation letters for everyone, because this is default in the Skopje regulations right now. Until now, it's not changed. But those who need invitation letters, we highly encourage you to contact the NEOs from whom you need the invitation letters and to request, so that if you don't need the invitation letters, we will not waste paper and our time and efforts in vain. What else you should do is you should prepare your poster for exchanges fair. The explanations on how the poster should look like you can find in the survival kit. Do it together with Scory, because the poster fair is supposed to be for Scopy and Scory together. And just hot latest news, we will also have SCOF in our exchanges fair to give the floor for promoting the public health exchanges as well. But the rules for this will be sent a little bit later through the email thread. And of course, read all Scopy regulation changes proposals. This is one of the most important things that we should do during the March meeting, and we need you to be highly informed about the changes, the possible changes. Thank you, Heber. Now time is yours.
Thank you, Tanya. As I mentioned before, something that we have been working on is the Scopy Survival Kit. If you are wondering what a survival kit is, it's basically a package of many tools that you are going to need during the March meeting that is going to help you um, to be in a more participant way during the session. We have just a basic explanation about it. You are going to follow the introduction message for the session team. You are also going to find an introduction about Scopy, about IFMSA. If you don't know that much about the history, about the structure, you can actually read that part. You're going to find a specific subtopic, which is what to expect as a newcomer. As a newcomer, we are expecting a lot of participants, so we are really happy, and we really hope that you take in account what to expect as a newcomer. We have the March meeting 2019 preparation. We have the boarding rights. We have the boarding right procedures. We have the link to the Scopy regulation change proposal. We also have some green recommendations, the exchange fair. We have the press house poster. We have animals exchange glory. We're going to, which is basically really important, which is the Scopy IT table, and we are going to discuss with you the involvement. We are going to have a challenge, which is the most active participant challenge. Also, if you are wondering what to bring during the session, you have to read the part. We also have the agenda, which is something really important. I really encourage you to download the survival kit into your cell phone, into your computer, but do not print it, please. You are going to see the general agenda. You're going to see the Scopy sessions, the regional sessions, joint session, a small working group, sharing is caring. You're also going to find the code of conduct, that we are expecting you to follow during any IFMSA event. Also, you're going to find the annual working plan of the Scopy International team, as well as the mean-term report. So if you want to elaborate some specific questions, you can also do it during the Scopy IT table. You can approach any of the Scopy IT members, and they are going to be happy to assist you. And finally, we have the checklist with the deadlines challenge that we are going to explain, the Scopy music playlist, a packing list, how to contact any of the IT members, abbreviation, and the Scopy IT members. So I really encourage you to take a look of the Scopy survival kit and download, and you can actually use it during the session, and it's going to be really useful for you. So let's take a look of the survival kit. Thank you.
Thank you, Heber. And now let's move to the very, very serious part. Please pay a lot of attention to this because you believe us, you need to understand it better now, and then you will feel easier and better during the sessions. So we are going to talk about the regulations voting procedure. What we want to discuss first is the types of majorities. So the first type of majority. So as you can probably understand, majority is the number of people who are voting for something. So we are talking about the word majority in this context. So we need to understand which types of majorities we have for the voting process, because you will hear different words in relation to the word majority. The first one is the simple majority. It is the simplest majority that we can face, and this majority only counts the votes which are more in favor than against. So, for example, if we have in favor, against, and abstentions, only those votes who are more will win. So, for example, if we have 3 in favor, 2 against, and 1 abstention, we will calculate only 3 in favor, because 3 is simply more than 2, and we only compare 3 in favor and against. We don't compare. We don't count those who abstained. The next type of the majority is the absolute majority. In this case, we also calculate those people who has abstentions. So if we have, for example, 15 votes in favor, 5 votes against, and 1 abstention, we will calculate. We will say that we have 15 in favor and 6 which are not in favor. In this case, in favor will win because this will be the absolute majority. The absolute majority should contain more than 50% of all the votes in favor. In this case, this is the only case when we count abstentions. So those who didn't vote. Next, please. Relative majority. So you can see on the picture 3 types of kittens: the black kittens, white kittens, and red kittens. So we compare those kittens, we only take into consideration those kittens who are more. The relative majority is the proposal receiving the most votes carries. Abstentions do not count in this case as well. In case there are more votes against than for any of the proposal, all the proposals fail. So for example, if black kittens are against, if white kittens are proposal number 1 and red kittens are proposal number 2, this motion would fail because you see we have relatively more against than in favor of any of other alternative motions. And the next type of the majority is the 2/3 majority, and this is the one most popularly used in Skopje. So 2/3 majority means that the number of votes in favor are at least twice the number of votes against. Abstentions do not count in this case as well. So for example, if we have 5 happy drops and 2 sad drops, 5 happy drops would be 2/3 majority because they are twice and even more than twice more than the number of sad drops. I hope that was a little bit clear for you because now we are going to the next step and a more complicated step, which is Skopje motion and debate maze. Please listen attentively because this is a complicated part. I will explain very briefly, but then we will give you an example of how it will work and hope it will be more clear for you. So we have a motion. So the chair of the plenary reads the motion. After the motion was read and the explanation was given by the chair of the motion, the chair asks for a seconder for the motion. If there is no seconder for the motion, motion fails. If there is the seconder for the motion, the chair asks for the amendments. If there is an amendment, the amendment is tabled to the motion. Then the chair is asking, does the proposer accept the amendment? If the proposer does not accept the amendment, then we go back to the original motion and vote on the original motion. If the proposer does accept the amendment, we are asking the seconder if the seconder has accepted the amendment or not. If the seconder does not accept the amendment, we are asking for the new seconder. If we cannot find the new seconder, the motion fails. If we have found this new seconder, we add the amendment to the original motion. So since now on, the amendment is incorporated in the original motion. After that, we're going to the vote. So after the amendments are incorporated, or after we have the original motion, the chair is asking for direct negatives. If we do not have any direct negatives, it is a very positive scenario. And in this case, we say that motion passes nemo contra. If we do have a direct negative, we ask, first of all, the chair is asking for the explanation. After the explanation, the chair is asking if there is any alternative motion. If there is no alternative motions, we are just voting on the proposed motion. So in this case, if there is the 2/3 majority, the motion passes. If there is less than 2/3 majority, the motion fails. However, in the case if we have an alternative motion, the chair opens the speakers list so that everyone could state their opinion on the motion and on the alternative motion. After that, chair asks for a seconder for the alternative motion. If there is no seconder for the alternative motions, we simply vote on the original motion. And again, the 2/3 majority rule works here. If there is a seconder for the alternative motion, we are voting on original motion versus alternative motion. And in this case, we take into consideration the relative majority. Do you remember the one with the kittens? So the motion that has the majority of the votes will win. I hope it was a little bit clear for you. And now, if it was not, we are going to give you an example. So, can we move to the next slide? We have the motion, which sounds as the following. To have an annual Scopi meeting at Hogwarts open to all Scopi members in addition to GAs and regional meetings. The explanation sounds as following. We need to have our private Scopi event. The proposer for the motion is Georgia Solda, the Scopi External Development Assistant, who is also the member of Gryffindor. Do we have any seconder for this proposal?
Yes, Mohammed.
Thank you, Mohammed. Do we have amendments for the motion?
Yes, Yorgos.
Okay, thank you.
Amend.
Yes, thank you, Jorgos. Please share the amendment.
Have an annual Scopi meeting at Hogwarts open to Hogwarts admitted. Only people who receive the letter can go. Scopi members in addition to GS and regional meetings.
Okay, thank you, Jorgos. Does the seconder accept the amendment?
Yes, I do.
I'm sorry, you were the proposal, Georgia. I'm asking the seconder, who was Mohammed. Do you accept the amendment?
Yeah, no.
Okay, I understood you. Thank you, Mohammed. Do we have another seconder?
Yes.
Thank you, Jack. Now, since we have another seconder, does the proposer accept the amendment?
Yes.
Thank you, Georgia. Do we have any direct negatives? No, we don't. Congratulations, motion passes nemo contra. And we clap. Yes, we usually clap. And let's move then to the next motion. The second motion sounds as to rename part of the March Meeting 19 Scopi Sessions team as Marvel characters. The explanation. As a part of our new advocacy strategy, we believe to have a greater appeal when we will be called the following. Tanya will be the Black Widow. Thank you, that's me. Heber will be Doctor Strange. Mohammed will be an Iron Man. Georgia will be Scarlet Witch. Jorgos will be the Daredevil. And Jack will be Hulk. The proposer is Georgia Solda, Scopi EDA, who is as well the Scarlet Witch. Do we have a seconder for this motion?
Yes, Doctor Strange.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Strange. Do we have any amendments to this motion? No, we don't. Okay, do we have any direct negative for this motion?
Direct negative from Iron Man?
Okay, thank you, Iron Man. Do you want to explain?
No.
Okay. Do you have an alternative motion?
Yes, I do.
Okay, can you please propose your alternative motion?
To remain part of the March Meeting 19 Scope Session team as a Disney characters. Tanya, Rapunzel,
Okay.
Peter Pan, Mohammed, which is me, Hercules, Georgia Pocahontas, and Georges Aladdin. Jack is Tarzan.
Okay, Mohammed, thank you very much. Do we have a seconder to the alternative motion?
Yes, Yorgos.
Okay, thank you, Jorgos. Now we have two motions, and we have to vote between between those two motions. And if you remember, in case when we have two alternative motions, the relative majority wins. We will not vote right now, but we hope that you understood it. Once remember the picture with the kittens. Thank you very much. Now we are going to move to the next part, and I'm giving the floor to Georgia.
Hi, everyone. So now we are going to have a brief summary about all the regulation change proposal that are going to be voted. You can find the full document on the server and in the comment here on the webinar. Since in the next slides, we're not going to show the full text because it's going to be otherwise too long, but just the content, the main content of each proposal. Okay, so this is how the document look if you're looking for it. So the first proposal we have, it's about the article 1.2.1. The main content is about the definition of the length of a clerkship. Since so far it's only mentioned the length of 4 weeks. But as you know, we have now also public health exchanges and longer duration exchanges that are supposed also to look to be longer. So we need also to align the definition in the regulations. That's why the Scope IT, who is the proposer of this change, suggested to put it longer. So this is the first one. Then we have to another change proposal about the explore pages and the voting rights. Because so far in the regulation is stated that the regional assistants help the NEOs to get their voting rights, only checking if they updated the explore pages. But what the arrays do actually is way more than that. They of course, for every GA, there are different tasks to be filled in order to gain voting rights. So our proposal of Scope IT by the Scope IT is to just widen the concept to general help that arrays do to with NEOs to for them to obtain voting rights. Then the fourth change proposal that is proposed by Lesuk Algeria. It's about the announcement of a full capacity of 10% left of the capacity of NMO. Now it happens on the NEO servers, as you know. We also have a Google Excel in the drive that is always updated. But what Algeria suggests is not to share this communication on the NEO server, but just with the IT, Scope IT, and then the Scope IT will update the Google Sheet, and the Google Sheet will be visible also by the students. So the students, when they want to apply for exchange, will know directly which months are still available and which are already full or about to be full. Another proposal from by the Scope IT is a better definition of the deadlines to send a Scope regulation change proposal. Now it states 4 weeks before, but we wanted to define it better, and we want to put the 1st of February regarding the March meeting, and the 1st of July regarding the August meeting. And this is also because there is a big process of alignment amongst all the standing committees. So here you will find also later other proposals that will be that are going to be voted, so that all the standing committees, while voting for internal regulation, can follow, let's say, the same path. Another proposal, it's a new also, when it's written new, it's because in the document you don't find a motion, the text, let's say, to be added to the regulations. By the Scope IT to the committees mentioned voting cards, but
Georgia? Am I the only one who is hearing Georgia not that good, guys?
Me too.
Okay, Georgia, can you hear us?
Sorry.
Okay, we cannot hear you well still. Say something. Georgia. Okay, so we apologize for the technical issues. Okay, Georgia. Okay. Hello. You back?
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can.
I'm really sorry.
Okay, we do not have Georgia with us anymore. Just let me share my screen for you. And we can continue. Okay. Okay, so okay, so here we now, and we can see that the regulation change proposal that Georgia started to talk about is the new one, 1.8.3, and yeah, so this one is to clarify that Explorer pages are not the final and the most important regulation that we can face. Can you see my screen, by the way, guys?
Yes, I'm gonna do it now.
No, I mean, can you see my screen? No?
No.
Oh, I didn't share it. Okay, just a second. Yeah, because I didn't press OK. So here it is now.
Yeah, now we can see
Can
it.
you see it now? Okay, great.
Yeah,
sorry for the inconvenience once again. It's loading. And yes, and I was saying that the idea of this regulation is since we have exchange conditions and exploratory pages, and sometimes it can be a little bit confusing which document should be taken into consideration as the final and the most important one. In this case, with this proposal, we just state that exchange conditions provide the most important information, and we should consider this as the one taken into consideration while solving any issues, and hopefully not speaking about conflicts, but just deciding what to do in this or that case. The next regulation change proposal also going to together with Squarey, and this one is to specify that when we update exploratory pages before the August meeting, we should also take into we should only take into consideration the incoming active local committees, because you know that some local committees are only active for outgoings. In this case, we do not actually need the exploratory pages for those local committees because no one would have a look at those exploratory pages. This one is also proposed by Skopje and Skori IT together. The next one is the same, so they go together, also about the exploratory pages and incoming active local committees. There are actually three regulations on almost the same thing. So since they are almost about the same, we will vote most likely on the three of them together at the same time. The next regulation, 5.2.12, is about invitation letters, hard copies, and in the current regulation, Skopje regulations, we have and Skori regulations as well. We have it mentioned that invitation letters, hard copies can be exchanged at the March meeting, but we want to change the March meeting and switch it with the GAs. Because we consider that hard copies can not only be shared during the March meetings, but also the August meetings. The next one, 5.2.12.1, is the additional one, and this one is about the request about hard copies. So far, as I already mentioned previously, the default is that every MIO should bring the hard copy to the outgoing to their incoming students, so to distribute those hard copy invitation letters during the GA. But we want to change it that if there is a need of the invitation letters hard copies, there should be a request sent to the news or to the server. This is to be discussed. So far to the new server, stating which should be the deadline for the the default deadline for requesting the hard copies of the invitation letters is 2 weeks. But if there is any other deadline announced by the hosting news, they should announce it to the new server. The next regulation change 6.3.3 is the new one, and this is about the voting rights, and this is about the about taking into consideration the amount of filled-in evaluation forms. So far, we have this regulation in Scori, but we don't have it in Skopje, since we have we have it as a task in the Skopje strategic plan to evaluate the program, the Skopje exchange program. We actually so far cannot do it because the data, the number of the evaluation forms is not significant enough to actually do the proper evaluation of the exchanges program. That's why we want to implement this rule. And since it relates to both Skopje and Skori, we're going to discuss it together. The next proposal is about the internal operation guidelines. Those of you who wants to organize a PRET, they have already faced what it is. Basically, we're creating the internal operation guidelines, which will be based on the capacity building IOGs, which will be proposed at the March meeting plenary for all the presidents to vote. We will explain you more about this. If you have any questions, contact us. Proposal about the new proposal about the reimbursement by the hosting NMO if the exchange conditions were not fulfilled. So in case, for example, the student arrives for exchange, but there is nothing actually happening, the rules are not obeyed, the lodging and boarding is not fulfilled, what should student do in this case? So this is a very important one. Please have a very precise look at this regulation. We need to discuss it properly. And extract of those regulations. Then the regulation change proposal number 10.1.3. This one is going to be voted together with 7.1.5 if 7.1.5 is implemented. The next one, 7.2.5, is about the detail about the reimbursement. Sorry, about the reimbursement of the student whose local committee was changed by the hosting NMO after the card of acceptance was already sent. You know that we have in Skopje regulations right now that the NMO should provide transportation from the original local committee, the first local committee that was distributed to the student, to the new one. We are going to add from and back, because it doesn't make sense to just bring student there, but how the student will get back to the airport where he or she has a flight from. The next one is the regulation change proposal proposed by Slomsik Slovenia, and it was proposed to both Skopje and Skori, and it is a big one. We hope that you already know about the discussion happening at the NEO server. If not, please pay a lot of attention and leave your comments in the discussion document or in the server itself. The next one is also about, it is basically about the phrasing on the when and how should the Skopje certificate be distributed to the student. So it is not changing anything. We're just specifying the phrasing with this proposal. And this finishes the regulation change proposals from Skopje side, Skopje Skori side. So what should you do? You should really read them carefully and discuss them in advance. Please be prepared for the General Assembly. And we will not have time for long discussions during the GA. We will only have 1 hour for joint discussions with Skopje and Skori, and 1 hour for a separate discussion within Skopje. And then on the day 4, we will only have 1 hour for voting on the joint regulations, and then 1 hour on the separate regulations. So as you see, we have a lot of things to discuss, but not that much time. That's why we have prepared for you the discussions sheet. It was shared with the news, and we urge news to leave your comments, suggestions, alternative motions, amendments to this document or in the news server. and if you have any questions, you can always approach any member of the Skopje International team, but preferably either Elena, the general assistant, or me directly. And the last point that I want to mention in this part is that if you are a new but you will not attend the General Assembly, please discuss the proposals with the ones who will attend the General Assembly and represent your NMO there. Discuss it in advance and think about what will be your stance on the proposal, how you would like to vote, what would be beneficial for your NMO, because it's very important. This is how we decide. Please propose your amendments and alternative motions before the 28th of February, so before the beginning of the March meeting, so that we could discuss it in the Skopje International team, maybe together with SCORE International team, and already incorporate your amendments and alternative motions if you will have any. SCORE has even earlier deadline for them is the 25th of February. We just extended a little bit more, but the earlier you send the proposals, the better it is for both you and us. Exchange is fair.
Hello, everybody, from me. Now we are about to talk about the Exchanges Fair, the big event that happens every March meeting, where all Skopje and SCORE active NMOs are about to promote the exchange program that they are organizing. It's going to take place, as you saw in the March meeting agenda, in the day 3, so in March 4th. From 2 p.m. to 4:30 p.m. The first 2 hours, from 2 to 4, it will be only for News and Norris and their assistants. And from 4 to 4:30, it's going to be open to all March meeting participants. So all participants from all delegations and NMOs can come and attend it. What to do? It's about to bring your poster. The main poster template is already shared with the NMOs. You can find it on this link, and if it's the same template as the previous year. So if you already don't have enough information to change on the poster, you can bring the same poster as in the previous year. One useful tip is to be as eco-friendly and as possible and try to reduce waste. In the next slides, we will talk about, we will give you some green recommendations in order not to be, environmental friendly. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. Sorry. I think you must. Yes. As every year, the previous slide. Before go green. Before? Here, yes. Next, about the competition. Nice. As every year, this year too, we will have the competition for the best Exchanges Fair poster stand. What this means? The 3 best NMOs, the 3 NMOs with the best presentation and the best representation during the Exchanges Fair, who will receive an award at the end of the March meeting, at the close. The evaluation is going to be from the NMOs. All Skopje and SCORE active NMOs will have 1 vote. And the Exchanges Fair Review Committee, which is going to be from the Skopje and the SCORE international teams. The criteria that they are going to take place in order to decide the 3 best NMOs are the general exchange information that the NMOs are providing during the Exchanges Fair, the presentation of the academic quality of the program, which is the most important part of the Exchanges program, and every NMO should give information about it. The presentation about the social program, the promotional materials, and the most important thing is that the materials need to be eco-friendly. As I told you in the next slide, we will talk about a lot. We will give you some recommendations in order to be environmental friendly. And of course, the visual and the verbal presentation of the poster. I think something goes wrong with them. Okay. The visual and the verbal presentation of the poster, which means that as more beautiful and more inclusive is the poster, it's it's better, it gives you extra points, and it gives you more possibilities to win an award, to take a place. Next slide, please. Here, we will see about the green recommendations I told you before. So what you need to do is to limit the usage of non-reusable and not eco-friendly merchandise. So try to use materials like paper or glass or plastics, something that it can be also go for recycling later, or something that it needs to be saved and it needs to be, and it can be used in the future. Try to use less paper as possible, and use more electronics. For example, if you have like a handbook, you can use it in a PDF form in your tablet. Don't bring it in a paper form. As I told you before, the poster template is the same as the previous year. So if you don't have something to change in your poster, bring the same poster as the previous year in order to make it as more sustainable as possible. Bring all your material, and after that, all the trash can go for recycling. So paper with a paper, glass with a glass, and plastic with a plastic. And finally, don't forget the 5 R's of sustainability, which are refuse, repurpose, reuse, reduce, and recycle. The first one, which is refuse. Refuse the stickers and merchandise that you don't need. Also, as a NEO, think about refusing to order new promotional merchandise and use the ones that you already have. Next slide, please. Some tips, some useful tips that you need to follow, and some tricks in order not to get anxious about the Exchanges Fair is to arrive as early as possible at the Exchanges Fair preparation. You don't have enough time to prepare for it, so try to arrive at least half an hour before the Exchanges Fair in order to come to gain your tickets and entry the Exchanges Fair room and start preparing your stand. As much time you have, the best presentation you are going to have. Only 4 people per NMO are allowed to enter the fair, 2 for Skopje and 2 for scoring. So then a NEO, the NORI, or the NEOs and the NORI, and 1 or 2 assistants according to the number of the NEOs that the NMO has. If your NMO is going to host a PRED, we will talk in the next slides about it. 1 extra person is going to be allowed in order to present the PRED that we are going to organize during the next period. Plan your booth before entering and not during that time. And of course, during the Exchanges Fair, when visiting the other tables, but also during your presentation, try to grab attention, focusing on the educational activities and the academic quality initiatives, because these 2 are parts of the academic quality, and it's the most important part of the Exchanges program. And the final thing that you need to think about while presenting your Exchanges program is, why should I go to this country? People coming to your table have this question in their mind. So while presenting, you need to give them the answer to this question. If you think about this question, your presentation, I'm sure that it's going to rock. Next slide, please. During this March meeting, we will have something new that during the past it was working in a different way. This year, the PRED hosts of the following period are not going to present the PRED they are going to organize during the Skopje sessions, but during the Exchanges Fair. What does it mean? that each NMO, each copy active NMO needs to, which has already an approved PRED from the IFMSA Executive Board, needs to inform the SCOPI and the SCORI Director and the SCOPI and the SCORI General Assistants until 25th of February via email. There are not any strict rule about the promotion. We just recommend you to take the General Expenses Fair poster template and create a poster. If you create a poster promoting your PRED, you need to send it to the SCOPI and the SCORI directors and their general assistants and in the electronic form until 28th of February. And during the Expenses Fair, these NMOs who are going to organize a PRED have the right to have one extra person during the whole Expenses Fair from 2 to 4:30 in order to promote their PRED, because the PRED hosts are going to present their PREDs on a different side of the hall, of the room, and not on the same table as the main table of each NMO. Finally, during the Expenses Fair, we will have the SCOPI International Team table. In this table, the SCOPI International Team members, they are going... next slide, please. Yes, okay. The SCOPI IT members are going to present their work, their annual working plan, which is already shared with the NMO since the beginning of the term, and then any other initiatives that they are organizing during this period, during this term. And of course, you have the right to go there to meet the SCOPI International Team members and ask any question you might have, not only about their work, about their annual working plan, and any other question you believe that they can answer to you. And of course, to serve them your love and your smile. Next slide, please. Also this term, also during this GA, the NMO, we will have the NMO Expenses Glory during the SCOPI session. Something NMOs were sharing their successes with a presentation during the last day of the GA. But during this GA, for this GA, there is an amendment about it. Next slide, please. In this GA, the NMO Expenses Glory is going to work in two parts. The first part has already started, where NMOs where we share the form in the Neon Scopy server during the previous period, and the NMOs had the right to fill this form and submit a candidature about their success. They believe the success that they believe that they need to share with the other NMOs, the success regarding Scopy, the Expenses program, the academic quality, or anything else. And they also needed to create a poster about this success. All these candidatures are evaluated by the Scopy sessions team, and during this period, from yesterday until 17th of February, every day the posters are uploaded on the Instagram account of IFMSA at UIFMSA. And this period is also the voting period, which means that each like counts as a vote. So the 5 posts with the most votes, the most likes, are going to be presented by the corresponding NMOs during the GA. During the GA, I think at the last day, the 5 most the 5 most successful posts are going to be presented with a PowerPoint presentation by the winners. And thank you very much.
Thank you, Georges. Okay, so now we're gonna shift to the things that you have to bring. So guys, you must bring your hard copy invitation letters, as well as your neo stamp, of course, if you have one. And lastly, you have to bring the poster of your NMO for the exchange fair. So these are the three things that you have to bring. You must bring, okay? You can also bring your survival kit in the documents sent to you before the GA. It's going to be really helpful, as well as your Scopy blue t-shirt, your lovely Scopy blue t-shirt. Um, Also, you for the exchange fair, remember to bring your traditional national hat, large size national flag, laptops slash tablets for pictures and videos, as well as promotional materials. As Jorgus said, it must be eco-friendly, and T-shirts or unique costumes, sweet chocolates, and traditional snacks. So that's basically the things that you have to do, that you have to bring for the March meeting. Next slide.
Hi, dears. So here we have the next deadlines for you not to forget. So if you're new, don't forget, as we already said, to update your NMO and LC Expert pages after the February 1st and before February 15th. If you're just a March meeting Skopje session participant, we have shared the call for the Skopje debate. You find all the details in the Neo server. It's a new session. We are introducing this March meeting, and it's really going to be fun and very, very informative. So please don't be afraid, just take a part in it. And as you see in the Skopje regulation change proposal emails, if you have any amendments or alternative motions you want to suggest, please do it before the 28th of February, so it can be properly discussed with everyone. Next, please. Okay, now we're speaking briefly about the challenges. You can check all of them on the Survivor Kit. So the most important one will be the best exchanges fair table. So be creative, be original, be also eco-friendly, and set the best exchange fair table. The Skopje IT and session team will be going around, and the best one will win. Then we will have a prize also for the most active participants. For this also you find all the details in the survival kit. And as we were mentioning before, also Skopje banner host competition, as we have every GA. It's a tradition. This year will be also a little bit more original. So do no harm, but always be ready to fight. Okay, and for your fun, if you want to get into the mood of the March meeting, you can find some playlist for you to be ready and have fun. We have a YouTube playlist, Apple Music playlist, Spotify, and Exchange Fair playlist. We already share them, and you can find them also in the survival kit. And thanks, Gabby, our America's regional assistant, for having created them. She's the best at this. And so, yeah, this is just for your fun and entertainment. Thank you.
And yes, to the part about questions. So, dears, right now, please go to the chat and ask questions if you have any. Now we have a couple of minutes to wait for your questions and answer if you have any of them. And in the meantime, let us please once again apologize for the technical issues that we caused. Something unexpected always happens, but in order to recover ourselves, right after the webinar finishes, we will send both the link to the webinar and the link to the PowerPoint itself for you to just once again go through all the necessary things you will need to take into consideration while preparing for the March meeting. Besides, most of the information can also be found in the survival kit. We will just send once again to you the survival kit a few days later, as soon as the survival kits are adjusted to the current situation. So, any questions? Anything you wish to know about us or about the March meeting? Okay, will the voting procedure be explained at the sessions? Well, the idea is to not lose the time at the session for the voting procedure, but we will maybe describe it once again very, very briefly. So please pay attention and rewatch once again the webinar if you have any if you didn't understand the voting procedure. Also, in the survival kit, you can find the link to the YouTube video about the plenaries of IFMSA. So this video explains how the voting goes during the plenaries, but since in Skopje we're following the same maze, it can be also very useful for you. And also, if you have some questions, you can approach any member of the Skopje International team and we can explain it to you personally once again. We will see how we will go with the timing during the March meeting. If we are on time, if everyone is there at 9 a.m. to start, we may have some 2-3 minutes to dedicate to explanation of the voting maze. But generally, we ask you to prepare in advance. And thank you, Krista, for the question. Any other questions? Okay. Then I think we have already taken quite a lot of your time. And let's move to the last slide. And we really hope to see you all in Slovenia. This is the slide that Slovenians and Slovakian people are very proud of. Please be mindful and arrive at the place where we will be waiting for you. Okay, in the meantime, we have another question from Neo of FGMSA Ghana. So, sorry, it's concerning the split sessions. Is it compulsory to be at the one for newbies if you are a newbie, or you can join the other? No, it's not compulsory for to be at the newbies session if you're a newbie. It is just highly recommended. But of course, if you are the only representative of the animal attending the sessions, it can be more beneficial for you to attend the maybe more advanced session, especially if it goes about regulation change proposals, discussions, or regulation changes voting. So it's up to you, but you can also always approach the sessions team members and ask how important will be this or that session and which one would we recommend you to attend. Thank you. I hope we answered your question. Ask for clarifications if you need. Then we have another question from Halle the Neo of Egypt, is it? Okay. Halle is asking, we have applied for the new body groups when we will be distributed. Just a second. So the deadline for applying for the new bodies groups was, if I'm not, let me just double check because we have very, very many deadlines these days. It was the 10th. And now we are in the process of distributing the new bodies in the groups. And we hope to finish the procedure and to announce the results. Okay, just a second. Just don't want to be wrong. Okay, so
I see questions about the PRED, Tanya, from Khaled.
Yeah, just a second. I'm going to find the body groups deadlines. I think we planned, yes, I think the idea was to announce it on the 20th. So far we are distributing. We have gathered the applications. Now we are in the process of feedback within the international team and distributing people in the groups. And by the 20th, on the 20th, we are planning to share the results with the NIAs. Thank you, Khaled. Then the next question, why don't we present about PREDS in the sessions? Time is limited. Yes, the time is very much limited if you compare the sessions agenda from the March meeting 2019 with the August meeting 2018. You will see a huge difference. We are at least 5 hours less than we were given during the August meeting. So we had to cut some parts. And this is exactly why we have decided, we decided to come up with a solution to provide the space during the exchanges fair. So everyone who is interested in PRED presentations will be given a spot at the exchanges fair. We will have a special like corner or spot in the exchanges fair where all PRED hosts will be able to put their banners and promotional materials. The email about this will be sent today/tomorrow. I would say tomorrow because today we'll already have quite some emails to share, and there we will explain all the steps, like what should you do, or yeah, I think we haven't shared the email yet. Yeah, twice about PREDS from Khalid. Do you have any other questions, Khalid? Or were they just not appearing? That's why they appeared all at once. Okay, then thank you, Heber. I love you too, you know this. And any other final questions? Okay. Last 20 seconds for the questions. Okay, then I think that it's time to finish our webinar. If you still have some unanswered questions, feel free to approach the Scopy Sessions team or Scopy International team, and we will be more than glad to answer your questions and to explain you whatever you want to. And with this, we are ready to close the webinar. Thank you guys for helping each other in this not easy task. I mean, the presenters of the webinar. Thank you very much, everyone. And yeah. And thank you to those who participated and asked questions. And see you in slightly more or even slightly less than 2 weeks. Slightly less for those who are attending the pre-March meeting and slightly more for those who are just attending the March meeting itself. So see you soon and bye-bye, everyone.